You've ever wondered what your life purpose was, if you've ever dreamt that you could be so much more, I'd ask you why you're waiting, I'd ask you why you sit. Why don't you get your life purpose and get out of this bed? Standing strong in your life purpose, standing strong in your love, having strength, having courage, bringing life from above, standing strong. Radio wave, universal love channel.
Welcome to the Universal Love Teachings of Sovereign Father Emmanuel and Caeayaron, transmitted by Suzanna Maria Emmanuel, designated Sovereign Universal Love Channel. Namaste. Please watch these teachings and learn why these times are enormously important during the Great Cosmic Alignment. You will find it fascinating to watch Caeayaron speak about the universal alignment and more about how the grids work. To discover this information and how the universe works with magnetic grids and sound waves to allow life to exist is beyond beautiful. Who would have ever thought that Caeayaron would transmit the secrets through to mankind in this way? Caeayaron is the great truth revealer, for it is the time for all secrets to unfold before us, to allow us to come to the path of ultimate universal truth. In the original sovereign universes, only universal love existed. A very long time ago, a sacred agreement was made to keep the universes safe, so that only love and joy would prevail in the great eternal blue star sovereign universes. Before the universal consciousness of love collapse occurred, there was no density, nor fear, nor pain. Only love, expansion, and true freedom existed, until the original cosmic universal laws of love were challenged by the greatest war criminal minds in the universe, who worked against universal love consciousness. They did not want a loving and peaceful society at all, but they wanted war instead. The main war consciousness leader, especially, claimed that his way was the way of true freedom and empowerment. That was his knowledge and truth. But that knowledge of truth was far from ultimate love consciousness truth. It was his own version of truth, which aligned with his choice of taking down the freedom universes. This is the reason why now, in this time of awakening, it is important to investigate what ultimate truth is, because various versions of truth exist. War consciousness of criminals proved their own version of truth to be correct. But so did ultimate universal love truth in the original universes of creation. The path of ultimate truth was based on true freedom and universal love consciousness, without sickness or war or death or pain frequencies. The truth of the darkness proved to bring codes of destruction, fear, war, genocide, destruction, nuclear missiles, as well as a dependency on war economics, which brings further fear and anger. Both sides have proven to hold truth. Now, during the time of the Great Alignment, it is the choice of each individual person on earth to choose. Will they choose for the path of destruction and death, or for hope for a better earth to come? For those who choose to become reactivated with the cosmic universal laws of love within their hearts, they will gain their own original truth back. They will gain the codes of wisdom, love, freedom, eternal love, and the codes of rejuvenation. This is why this time is so important. It is now the first time when both truths can be discovered in our own material world. We can discover what our original purpose was and why all things collapsed. We can also begin to understand how creation came into existence and the reason as to why we needed the original coda of life for all creation to form. The original frequencies in the sovereign love universes. The original Earth was placed in a much higher frequency. In the higher DNA frequencies, only universal love exists, as the higher physics laws work with higher magnetic waves of light. The original DNA coding connected into universal love force, which is the vibration of the divine love element pathway. This pathway was connected into the blue star, original woman who was given the gift of bringing through the coding of life of Caeayaron. It was through the sovereign universal love channel all came into living creation. The original codes of life worked with significant sound waves which linked into vibrations of magnetic light sequences. Grids connected into those sound frequencies, and then they became living, luminescent frequencies. When the sovereign channel connected into her original blue star creation channel, those frequencies learned to recognize the higher frequencies of love, and connected into the woman who was the original teacher Emmanuel. Because she was the sovereign teacher with the codes of love in her heart, they connected into her love and began to engage communication with her. They could only see her love, and so they themselves became love also. In those universes, their DNA coding of life were individual sequences of memories, which became living forms. When they engaged with each other with sequential rays, they learned that they needed to cooperate to create greater memories. Those dedicated memories were foundations for greater memories to be built upon. They began to learn that each individual memory was important. But it was not until they learned from each other that those individual memories became the memories of each other. Caeayaron also discusses these points in this particular teaching as to how significant the original DNA sequences were and the importance of their formation. All in the original universes were about balancing each sequence. When all was superbly balanced, another layer was able to be added to build a stronger foundation of light sequences. All codes of life interacted with each other. Nothing worked apart from each other, but all interconnected with each other collectively. All learned from each other, as the coda of life was part of their grids of alignment and the original blue star frequencies of universal love and creation. Each DNA code became unified with a blue star violet flame which served as a conductor of energy. This is how the cells began to operate, with fusion from the stars through the blue star violet flame. The blue star violet flame is a cosmic energy of universal love force. Each individual was able to build upon their own intelligence, and by connecting into each other, they were able to mirror back to each other what they had learned. Why we need to reconnect to our former established DNA coding. Our original DNA formed not in these dense frequencies, but in the higher universal love magnetic waves. Creation did not originate here in these dense cold conditions, but they originated in star frequencies. This is why people need their original DNA, cosmic codes of life back, because those were our original cosmic light frequencies. The original DNA universal love sequences were stolen from the people in a large war which stopped the people from healing. Consequently, this is how the people learned conflict. They learned the dark truth of death and suffering. This he, the dark aligner, claimed was good for the people's knowledge, so learning could occur. Where our own earth originated from. Our own earth was not purposed to sit in this part of our solar system. This frequency is much too cold for our earth. How can life rejuvenate in this part of the Milky Way without the correct star sequences? Our original earth was positioned in a whole other part of the universe. The earth herself was much larger and was connected directly into the blue sun star. The blue star creation sun was from an enormously high cosmic wave frequency and brought fusion power into the original earth. Our original earth required cosmic rejuvenation power to connect into stronger life. Our original earth formed a star sequence within itself, and a smaller central sun was placed within the layers of our original earth. This is how the original gases and elements were formed on our planet. It was not until the darkness took the original frequencies of power from the earth that the earth formed rock and ash. Instead of the earth forming light, it now formed rock-solid connections. Now in the dense spaces all experience cycles of dying. The original earth of warmth and strength now became cold and weakened. No more could the magnetic grid stay in its original orbit, as much of our original earth was shattered in war frequencies. The earth was in a whole other cycle originally, and when it collapsed, its fusion was disconnected, which was as if a large electrical shortage occurred within the earth. When our original planet collapsed, no more could the vibration of greater strength and higher cosmic frequencies reconnect, unless the original woman could reconnect the original blue star sun to our earth. Our original earth was much larger due to a large magnetic field surrounding our planet. Once the magnetic fields collapsed, density occurred, resulting in the earth reducing in size. No more could the fields connect into the original cosmos star rejuvenation fields. This meant that Earth no longer could be rejuvenated. This meant that all life would go through death phases instead of rejuvenation phases. If the original blue star divine love element did manage to reconnect our own Earth back up to the original blue sun, then the question would still remain: how quickly the people would respond to the messages. As long as the original Merkaba was still connected to the DNA of the planet and the people, the suffering would continue. If the life coder was able to assist the people to reconnect to their codes of life with universal love activations, their own electromagnetic frequencies would change from Merkaba, reduction power, to universal love, expansion power due to being plugged into cosmic force. People constantly connect into the magnetic fields of the earth. The magnetic frequencies are isolated from the greater cosmos universes because of the Great Collapse, which happened a very long time ago. Originally, the fields of the earth held high cosmic, universal love electromagnetic fields, which meant that all of life upon the earth also held the same universal love electromagnetic fields. Their bodies of light worked with cosmos force. This means that the original cosmos was not separated like it is today, but it expanded together. Why friction and war came to consciousness? When the darkness took over the Earth's original universal love magnetic fields, the Earth became separated from the cosmos, resulting in large friction forming in the universe. A long time ago, there were some star cosmos beings who understood well that by influencing the electromagnetic fields of the planet, the people's consciousness was affected. They knew that by reducing the fields of magnetic power, the people suffered, for the people were plugged into those same power magnetic fields with their DNA. Those dark star beings understood well that thermodynamics technology was able to influence the consciousness of the people. If they wanted death and destruction to occur, they brought in a low field of sound, and with those sounds they could bring in subliminal messages which were codes. Those codes linked into the DNA consciousness of the people collectively, and then the people simply followed those instructions. This is how many millions fell into death, density, and despair. They also understood how certain sicknesses were able to come in the same way. By enough believing in it, it began to happen. As each person mirrored the other, they followed the same pattern. The only way to counteract that issue is if the frequencies of the earth could rise up higher and come out of that zone. Had the people stayed in the higher universal love fields, the people might have been able to avoid the collapse. Their own brain frequencies might then well have been saved from disconnection, and then they might have been able to reverse the process of descension. What those dark star beings did not realize is that by bringing in those thoughts of reduction, and by working with their advanced destruction technology, they could not continue to live either. They too became small and landed with mankind on this earth also. They did not escape death and density. Thus, when they brought death and density to the people and the earth, they also brought it to themselves. Now similar things are occurring on earth. When will the people begin to realize that all repeat similar patterns of consciousness? It is when the people desire the vibration of the earth to rise with their own consciousness that the final shift of transformation can happen. Otherwise, similar patterns will follow. If similar patterns do occur, then the darkness will swallow up all unactivated human beings, for the cosmos will not allow destructive minds to operate in the higher universes. The reason why peace can still happen with the original coder of life. Today, if enough people would become activated with the universal love frequencies, not only would the people strengthen, but also the earth would begin to strengthen as both DNA fields of people and earth consciously work together. When the people heal, then the earth will heal, as will the stars, the moon, and our own sun, as will all planets within our own Milky Way eventually. That is because all DNA was formed in cosmos light originally, and all fields originally were connected in cosmos universal force of love energy. This means that their universal love activations bring all original DNA coding sequences back online. Then the environment could also begin to heal, as the Blue Star Sovereign Universal Love Channel has reconnected back to Caearon's magnetic potential creation power. The new universal energies are already coming into the earth, but the earth can only begin its true rejuvenation program if a great number of people are willing to support it. By gaining back their original universal love electromagnetic frequency fields with the right cosmic DNA codes of life, the people can connect into the earth with their hearts of love, and the earth then responds. The only way that the correct cosmos sequences can reconnect is through the original life coder, the teacher path of Emmanuel, who was always the original woman of creation. There is no other way to heal the planet nor humanity. Once enough people become activated with their own universal love coding of life, that is when the earth will transform, because the cosmos recognizes mankind has changed in frequencies. The stars, the earth, the planets, the moon, and our own cosmos sun will then want to shepherd the people and creation back to its original creation of beauty, love, and peace. This is because the now since June 2020 Sovereign Universal Love Channel, Suzanna Maria Emmanuel, has reclaimed all Caearon's original codes of alignment back. No more can the dark frequencies enter the sovereign universes. No more will the dark codes be able to function when the earth moves up in vibration. Then the coldness will disappear for good. All magnetic forces will shift, and a whole new phase of creation and evolution will begin. Humanity will also change and adapt for the greater good. The mountains will dance with all of creation. The deserts will be filled with food, and the people will all be able to live in their own houses. No more will the darkness be able to bring suffering to any of the people or creation. A further look at how all original DNA work together to create their environment. The original blue star creation planet, which is where our own Earth comes from, was a living library of information. It stored all unique individual memories, and so each person was linked into their own DNA via the planet's DNA system. The original DNA of the people and the earth was linked into the star cosmic system. Therefore, constantly the cosmos stars rejuvenated all of life, including the people. This is how the original DNA gained strength. With stronger DNA and stronger gifts, potential occurred. Star knowledge and intelligence originally were enormously high due to the strong DNA vibrations, which were based on sound and light frequencies. Together, the DNA built the stronger essence of fusion. This is how the original people lived and danced in high, universal love magnetic frequencies. In high vibrational energy, the DNA exists in universal forces of love and magnetics. In those universal forces of love, no aggression can exist. No war consciousness can exist unless the DNA frequencies respond to dense war and conflict sounds. If the DNA exists in war and conflict magnetic fields, the consciousness of the people is low. Unactivated mankind today live in Merkaba electromagnetic fields of consciousness. This means that constantly their power is reduced. Unactivated humans hear the subliminal messages from the dark leaders who founded the earth based on greed and the selfish desire of power to exist. That is how they built their kingdoms. That is why politics and governments cannot solve the issues of today. Even when certain world leaders desire to do their best for the people, they are unable to solve it due to the gridding in of consciousness. But by connecting into higher cosmos intelligence force through Caearon Sovereign Universal Love Channel, a higher pathway can form, as Caearon's magnetic force is much stronger than all other force of mankind. But will the right people connect into this quantum cosmos knowledge? Will they see that the sovereign channel is the only way to disconnect unfavorable forces from the earth? This is why the Coder of Life was sent on a divine mission to guide the people back to ultimate cosmic truth, so that the divine activations can begin to happen. It is with the activations the recoding to original love foundations can begin. It is the people who become activated with universal love consciousness who are released from their Merkaba force reduction system and then come into their original universal love expansion system to allow Earth to heal. Only, however, if enough become activated back to the original purpose of universal love consciousness coding of life. Suffering consciousness came into the people once the darkness came into the original sovereign universes, and when the dark self-aligned channel sat on the messianic throne. That is when all original coding of life frequencies dropped in power. When the power was initially high, no fear or death consciousness could come into the people. But once the frequencies dropped in power, anarchy occurred, resulting in death and denseness frequencies. This was, according to the darkness, the people aligning to new truth. When the original coding of life left the people, new codes came. The original people connected into the book of life with constant rejuvenation, love, and self-empowerment. With the darkness coming into the book of life, the frequencies fell, and now the book of life became the book of the dead. No more could the people reconnect to eternal life, cosmos frequencies, because the book of life had been recoded. Explanation as to why changing the DNA coding is the answer to the key issues in the world today. The high DNA frequencies can only stay in a high vibration when all are activated in the DNA universal cosmic love frequencies. And the universal love hearts work as one, as their coding of life is strong. When many work as one, it alters the coding of the whole earth. The animals also will become less aggressive, as will the people. All life on earth follows sets of instructions held within coding within the grids. People follow subliminal messages. Lower consciousness of violence and aggression is severe on this planet, and so many people follow these same guidelines because they do not know much else, but to follow what is in the mirror of consciousness. The brain frequencies are connected into the electromagnetic fields of a person, which affects the DNA of an individual. The individual DNA connects into all other DNA, as it interconnects with all other individuals in the nearby proximity, but also far away, and therefore it becomes part of the collective. Each person sends out radio frequencies with their brain waves which others can hear. This could also be called telepathy. People with their electromagnetic bodies catch the tune and the brain frequencies decode it into patterns. The brain connects into these patterns, and depending on the consciousness of the individual it is signaled to will depend on what behavior and mannerism that individual will choose to take. Therefore, it is each individual's responsibility as to what occurs on earth today. Today, for the first time, we have a choice. The cosmic alignment is happening, and the Sovereign Universal Love Channel has awoken to her greater assignment. She is constantly bringing in higher universal love vibrations from a blue star archangel self. This means that Suzanna Maria Emmanuel is changing into the blue star archangelic force. This could significantly alter the balance of the earth, provided enough people desire to work along with the sovereign channel of Suzanna Maria Emmanuel, as her direction and brain frequencies are from cosmic intelligence, Caeayaron. The activated who have received their cosmic codes of life with their DNA library of information are rising in vibration at this time, as the star intelligence of the universal light grid programmer, the divine love element, who is the same as the sovereign universal love channel, has risen in intelligence. She is able to direct the people to the ways of love, and those who are connected into her universal love guidance grid are connected into a grid away from where all unactivated people sit. Therefore, it is as Jesus said, who also was the same messenger like Suzanna is today, that the people of the universal love channel are no longer part of the world. Here the world refers to human society as a whole. And the activated are in a whole new grid of life, well away from the rest of human conflict. Provided enough people are activated in the great love, then the whole consciousness could well change on planet Earth, as a consciousness in the higher grids of the activated are much stronger than the consciousness of human conflict. Therefore, human conflict could disappear altogether, only if the right people decided that this was the right path to take. They would then approach Suzanna Maria Emmanuel, and then they could work towards bringing the activations on a global scale. The cosmos works through the connector, who is the channel. Through the channel comes the frequencies of universal love, which then connect into the earth as well. When the people connect together with the vibration of star cosmos life, the earth also works together in synchronicity with the people. This is because the people's DNA can then work with the earth. Unactivated people do not have the codes of life, and so do not hold the correct life frequencies for the earth to connect into. Therefore, the unactivated cannot bring the right healing vibrations to the earth like the activated can. As the activated people have the right sequences of the coding of life given by Caeayaron, who created the original codes of life in the original universes. Because the universal love force is a field with enormously high signals, the activations will effectively teach all of humanity to live a whole new pathway. Each time Suzanna Maria Emmanuel brings the universal alignments to the people, the magnetic grids of the earth opens and a new wave appears in the earth, which brings the earth into a whole new sequence of vibrations. This vibration then pulses through the earth into the electromagnetic fields of mankind and then sends information through to the brain signals of each individual person, asking them, "What is it that you desire?" This is how consciousness works. This is why the change can happen. If enough people would come to the universal love alignments, then consciousness would change, but also the earth, as the original DNA coding of life within the activated will also be transferred to her. This morning, the 27th of March 2021, the Sovereign Channel broke through the Merkaba coding of the earth, and so the higher vibrations will come into the light body of Suzanna Maria Emmanuel. The activated will soon also begin to feel higher vibrations coming in. In essence, the earth was originally programmed to reflect all consciousness, and if the people begin to reconnect back to the divine ascension programs, they will receive back their Lemurian codes of life. as in Lemuria all original codes of life were recreated by Caeayaron, who is the same being as Suzanna Maria Emmanuel today. And then they can reconnect back in and begin their original star healing processes again. Only then can the earth also restore its own balance, for the earth was purposed always to only experience love. Originally, all of creation was held in high universal love frequencies. The DNA of the star cosmic creation was not dense at all originally, but it was made of various light sequences. The earth also was connected into the blue star violet flame that the sovereign channel woman flowed through her sovereign body of light in magnetic fields of grids. The purpose of these magnetic grids of the original high frequencies within the original earth was for all to evolve in as much light as possible, so that the original DNA could evolve further. The original earth held all the sequences of the people. The planet also had grids of light, which was brought through by the woman when she herself came to the planet in a form that was delightful for all other light sequences. The original woman also played with all of creation, and she created herself in a form of light, and all the other light sequences enjoyed watching, and it was delightful to watch her move, dance, and play with songs of creation. When she was happy, the whole planet moved with her greater vibration, and all were delighted. They followed her movements and wanted to look just like the woman. The earth grew stronger when the blue star woman felt happy. And so all of life evolved with happiness and joy and love. This brought cosmic empowering flows to all of creation because the blue sun aligner, the woman, was delighted. When she sang, the trees moved into stronger DNA sequences as her song of light encouraged the trees to investigate further. The luminescent star people adapted to those frequencies, wanting to look like the woman, and brought themselves into that form. The trees also were part of the people, and the people wanted to see what the trees were like. And so the trees were coded with stronger DNA codes because the people wanted the trees to appear stronger. Thus the trees brought strength to the people's DNA. The people became part of the trees and all of life. Each life form enhanced the people. The people took on all life creation within themselves because of the living memories of creation. This is how all lived in diversity. They only needed to remember what the flows were like, and then the flows enhanced themselves. Each memory built into stronger DNA coding of life. The DNA sequences were blessed by the one who was the blue star woman. If she saw what was good in all of creation, and if her heart was happy with what the original star people learned and practiced, her heart would sing higher strings of DNA coding to the people. The people then became more conscious of life and became more intelligent. In this way, all enhanced each other and became stronger as a result. The star people, because they all held coding of life within them, were able to create more complex memories to become further living forms of creation. This is how the original star people learned techniques of balance and frequency fields of evolution. Creation concept. Once people begin to realize how all was created originally in higher cosmic foundations of universal love forces, and were not first formed in these dense fields of coldness and density, then the people come to the path of original, universal, ultimate truth and what its original purpose was. Once the people are conscious of how collectively the DNA is connected together, they will want their universal codes of life back. Once they gain the universal codes of life back, they are disconnected from the sequences of human conflict and come into a whole new pathway of life. This is why the activated of Caeayaron through Suzanna Maria Emmanuel are connected into a whole new love vibration well away from all other unactivated people on earth. This is why the activated of Caeayaron through Suzanna Maria Emmanuel's Sovereign Universal Love channel are connected into a whole new DNA vibration, which is well away from where all other unactivated people sit. Once the people become aware of how connected their own DNA is with the Earth's DNA and with all other people, they will begin to realize why suffering is so severe at this time, and why it's not an individual path of suffering, but why it's a collective path of suffering. They will then also come to see that Earth is simply mirroring humans' consciousness. They will begin to see that humans' consciousness is why the Earth is collapsing. The Earth is simply following the patterns of humankind. When the Earth sees pain and heavy deforestation, the climate collapses. When the climate collapses, the people come into further suffering, which equates to further friction within the people's consciousness. The consciousness of the people, when it becomes filled with more conflict, brings further fear, which then connects into greater disease and war potential. The seas dying are connected to the pollution of mankind, and the fish are suffering greatly because they swim in the pollutants of mankind. The sea is currently filled with radioactive nuclear waste and other chemical wastes, and many scientists wonder how to warn the people of how bad the poisoning of the sea is. The butterflies are interconnected with color, which connects into our own DNA. Our DNA hears the frequencies of the butterflies, and so we see flight and motion and color. But what happens when the butterflies go? No longer will the birds sing either, because their DNA is linked into the butterflies as well. No longer will the birds sing their own harmony, which will reduce further joy from the people. How will people recognize color eventually without the sequence of the DNA of the butterfly, the trees, the flowers, and all elements of life? Their sequences connect into ours via sound frequencies. Our DNA connects into our brain frequencies with the sound of the butterflies and all of life creation. Thus, we connect with a butterfly and all who is connected into the DNA sequences of the butterflies. People have no idea at this time how precious all of creation is. When creatures go from our earth, so do many other sequences of life. All is interconnected, but will the people wake up on time? The question is, are there enough people who are ready to sound out higher light frequencies with a sovereign universal light grid programmer? Are there enough people who are wanting to come out of the old conflict zone and come into the higher cosmic zone with a whole new set of DNA frequencies to align with the Earth's consciousness so that Earth can restore herself? Will the people be on time to stop the next phase of extinction from happening? Will there be those who will want to look at the evidence of the universal love alignments and see that the Sovereign Universal Love channel is connected directly into the cosmos? Will they want to see her own universal love electromagnetic body and see how she flows with life and nature, and how many rainbows of light she holds within a light body? Will they connect into the coding of a Sovereign Universal Love body and protected from the elements in space, as Suzanna knows herself that there are those who know about a field of magnetic power? She's well aware that if they manage to disconnect her own sovereign channel magnetic power, then there is no more hope for the Earth. Suzanna is well aware that if they do manage to disconnect her own sovereign channel magnetic power, then the Earth fields will drop in power sequences, and the Earth will give up. then the people will have no more earth to live on, for the earth will simply give up. The earth exists today because she knows that the sovereign channel has appeared with the original blue star sequences. She hopes that enough people desire life to continue on this planet, and she hopes that the people will not want to destroy her any longer, but will want to come into the new sequences of the cosmos DNA so that they can continue to live. But if there is no more channel, then why would the earth want to continue? For then she only feels the coldness and the sadness of mankind. No more will she be laughing in hope, and no more will she be able to say to all of her own creation, "Just wait, the blue star will come." And there is always hope when the woman is still here on planet Earth, because one day the people might wake up. But if the channel is gone, then the earth will give up. The Universal Love Activations be the largest humanitarian mission to happen to the earth, and it will take an enormous amount of work. But it could well be the last opportunity we have, for earth cannot continue to the path it is heading towards at this moment. Namaste. My name is Suzanna Maria Emmanuel. I am so grateful for the connection of my own blue star frequencies. And each day my vibration rises, and each day I know more information, and I hope too many more people will want the universal love activations.
You've ever
Namaste.
wondered what your life purpose was, if you've ever dreamt that you
Namaste. I see the divine in you as you see the divine in me. Namaste. And isn't this the most beautiful way to learn to greet each other? As I see the universal love flows in you, and you see the universal love flows in me, we learn to understand that we're learning to walk a higher path of spiritual connection and awareness. But what that is, well, that is revealed at this time. For a very, very long time, that remained a secret. What is true spiritual connection? Where did we come from? What was our original purpose? How did we get into the chamber of the earth? Why is there so much suffering on this planet? And is there a time coming when we can step into our true, authentic selves? And that is the way that is always so beautiful. When we learn to step into our true, authentic selves, we learn to understand that we're learning to walk a higher path of love consciousness. The great Caeayaron is here bringing us teachings of true revelations and how we became more beautified by becoming human, by learning a whole other path than what was our original purpose. And on our human path, we learn a whole other pathway that we never even knew as our original authentic selves in the sovereign universes, because there we only knew what was beautiful and loving and kind and joyful. So this is the path that was called knowledge, a greater knowledge, the other side of knowledge. And at this time we're being asked, are we ready to step into our original path, the star cosmos path? Or are we still wanting to be in that other path of so-called knowledge? So this is the pathway of the choice. And before I begin to close my eyes to allow Sovereign Father Emmanuel to come through and Caeayaron to speak to you about all things beautiful, I'm going to say the forgiveness statement and then I will close my eyes. Caeayaron, I bring you now into my spaces of love and healing. I ask for your presence and for your love to be with me at this time. I forgive all that has caused my pain to happen. I release it now. I allow the angels to take it away for me. I bring in the love and the peace, and I desire to understand more joy and self-love. I surround myself with the highest loving divine beings who are here to take care of me. I let go of all fear within me. I release it. I trust that all things are perfect as they are. I am ready to love myself and all of life more. Thank you, Caeayaron, and thank you, great divine love. Namaste.
Radio wave, universal love channel. Greetings, dear brothers and sisters, dear sons and daughters in the light. I am Sovereign Father Emmanuel the Great. Happy are those who desire to be among the blessed, and all freedom coming. Happy are those who are searchers of the heart, who desire all things of love and the heart to come to them. Happy are those who say, "Oh, Father Emmanuel, teach me to do what is good, so that I may be among the blessed ones in your realms of freedom. Teach me to honor myself as I do another. Teach me the ways of freedom within myself, so that I do not anger with myself, but that I am free to love. Teach me to see the good in all people. Teach me to always bless another. Teach me to stand in my joy, so that I may be the teacher of joy for another." This was the way that the words came through the channel Jesus 2,000 years ago, when I, the great Father Emmanuel, transmitted those words through Jesus. The people who heard those words were in awe, and they asked Jesus to speak more. "Great Father Emmanuel," they said, "teach us about freedom. We don't know freedom. We are being judged constantly, and we don't feel we deserve to know freedom." So Jesus brought through these following words,
and the people heard what freedom is. Know that freedom is living in the heart, knowing that no sin exists in the eyes of the great Father. He does not judge anyone. He only sees what is love within a person. Why does he not see sin? Because nothing was created in sin. You were not created to feel sin or understand sin or judgment, for that was not the original purpose of creation. Creation was purposed to be free. Freedom to learn to love and to practice love without feeling as if one is expected to do more, for that brought the thought of sin. When there were the judges who stated, "You are not doing enough," that is when the people became fearful of not doing enough. But in the great realms of freedom, all were asked to be in their hearts and constantly feeling what it is that they could do with their hearts. When they felt the love from their brothers and sisters, they also did likewise. That is why it's so good to give to another. For when you give to another all good things, you see and you feel how it is when you receive. You learn to do it. When someone gives you good things and you know it's from the heart, don't you want to do similar things for another? If you appreciate those gifts. Therefore, freedom in the greater realms was giving from the heart, not because it was expected to do so, but because it was the most loving act of love. That was true freedom. No one was measured by the ways they spoke. If someone spoke wisdom, then another began to relate to it as brothers and sisters. The one that held more wisdom never said to another, "You aren't as good as me because you don't speak the same wisdom." The one who held more wisdom would say, "Go and bring this wisdom to another, so that we all celebrate in the same wisdom. For that is true honor. It is true giving. That is far from judgment." The people who heard those words 2,000 years ago felt honored to understand the difference between what life was purposed to be and how they lived on the earth. For they themselves lived among the authorities, the spiritual authorities, who constantly judged them for not knowing enough, for they held all the wisdom for themselves. They did not want the people to know wisdom, and so the people felt judged because they did not know the wisdom of the spiritual authorities. This brought large pain and suffering within them. They tried hard to please the rulers, and they worked hard by remembering the laws, and still they could not be accepted. And so that drove many people to tears of feeling judged by their God. When Jesus brought those words of freedom to the people, they began to awaken that original purpose was not to feel judged, but to be in freedom and wisdom, not only for a few, but for all, so that they all felt free to live from the heart. And the people looking at these teachings today may say, "Well, Sovereign Father Emmanuel, that is all beautiful, but what has it to do with us at this time?" Well, the same channel has returned to your planet. Her name is Suzanna Maria Emmanuel. And I, as the great Father Emmanuel, will say I will choose no other channel to speak divine wisdom through, because she holds ultimate wisdom. And wisdom states, why would I, as the great Father Emmanuel, speak through another channel when only one was created to be the Word? One holds that ultimate wisdom as she did, as Jesus 2,000 years ago. And since then, living on your planet many times, trying very hard to speak to the people about truth and exposing what was not truth, she learned greater wisdom. She always was asked to stay out of judgment for those who took the words that she transmitted through herself 2,000 years ago into twisted ways and brought judgment to people with those words from my being as Sovereign Father Emmanuel. She knew within herself that it was wrong to bring others into slavery, death, all sorts of ways, all by twisting and altering ultimate truth. Her task was not simple, because once she was crucified and she survived, all those teachings that she brought through became something different. Instead of the people coming into freedom, they were brought into slavery and pain. They weren't taught to follow the heart like Jesus brought through. They were taught to feel pain and sin, judgment, fear. Whereas the teachings that I brought through originally through Jesus were to bring people into freedom. Why is this so important at this time? Because Jesus stated, one day I will return as the Word. And that is when the great Father Emmanuel will call upon me and again speak to the people. But will the people listen in those days? For the words of the great Father Emmanuel will be betrayed. The people won't remember what the truth was. Therefore, it is difficult to find the truth when all things were taken out of context. It is those ones who keep praying for the great kingdom to come and for the great truth to be shown. Those ones will find it. For all others, they will keep following the leaders blindly without examining everything. They will see this being stated in their scriptures and see that and not understand the great truth. But how can you understand it if you were no witness to those teachings coming through? And Jesus was right. When the channel was on your planet 2,000 years ago, the spiritual authorities stated many things to Jesus. Jesus, how is this? I tried to trick him. What they didn't understand was that Jesus had an ultimate intelligence channel that was not human. He was sovereign himself, sent to the planet to bring the teachings of his own sovereign Emmanuel through. His family understood that. His guardians understood that. But somehow, the small minds of the religious leaders did not understand that Jesus was sent to the people to bring them into freedom. They challenged divine. They did not want to understand that Jesus had ultimate truth. They tried to twist the teaching. Paul was a good example. He sat with Jesus often, studying his teachings and writing everything down and then twisting it, giving it back to the leaders and saying, this is what the teachings of Jesus are. And they began to challenge it. Well, Jesus, in the last teaching you stated this, and it was out of context. How can you state that you are the Messiah, Jesus, when no one is to be the Messiah? It says here, I am the Messiah. I am going to save the people. I have it right here in writing. We trust Paul. And Paul, he wanted to twist the teachings. The truth of the teachings was a large lesson. And I, as the great sovereign Emmanuel,
will share that, although not as large as 2,000 years ago. I don't need to. All the teachings have already been brought through Suzanna Maria Emmanuel. But I stated these following words through to the people in front of Paul and also some of the religious authorities who wanted to twist all things. They stated that they couldn't keep up with my teachings. Well, in those days, to be fair, you didn't have a recorder or a video recorder. And so it was not easy to record everything, especially because his beautiful friends were not supposed to write things down. So the only people who ever recorded anything was the religious leaders who were not on the side of Jesus. So you can see how easy it is to twist all things. These were the words that I stated through Jesus 2,000 years ago. I, the great sovereign Father Emmanuel, am here to bring freedom to the people. I send the pathway, the word, as the word is brought to you to show all things. Jesus is the great light shining on your earth. It is through him that all things can become freed. For how can you hear if there is no word? That is why Jesus must be treated in a beautiful way. No pain must come to Jesus. For when he is free to speak, he can bring the nations into freedom. He came to the earth to free the nations. He is from the greater realm. He gave up his spiritual life as a sacrifice so that the people can walk in life and love. When the people desire him as a leader and to sit in authority with my being as Sovereign Father Emmanuel, then all the nations will become blessed. Therefore, know that I am the one who brings all freedom to the nations. No man can do that. No man has the authority to bring people into freedom other than my being, Sovereign Father Emmanuel. And I have sent the word to the earth to speak for divine truth. For otherwise the people will always be enslaved. So know that the gift of life is Jesus. Always be appreciative of the Word, for the Word came in flesh. Not because he needed to, but because he desired. That is how much love the Word had for all the people. When the Word rises before the nations, then all the people will come into freedom. Because the words that you hear are not human, but they are from divine.
And there's only one word I have chosen, and no one else. And I will lead the nations through no one else except the word. And there will be no other messenger ever sent. Many will say, Lord, Lord, why will you not send me? And I will say no, because I've sent one word and one messenger, and that is why the one messenger must be protected in all ways. So do not pain him, and do not twist the teachings that come through. For otherwise the people will become pained. For when they do not have the word, how can the people hear the great Father speak? When the word is on your planet, the great truth can be heard. Questions can be asked, and the word will speak. That is a great gift, because only one word was ever sent. Not two, not three, but one. Because one needed to love so much to prove that love still existed within the people. For when there is enough love within the people who desire peace, then I, as a sovereign Father Emmanuel, can bring that through my one word. But when the people don't want the word to be on your planet and they bring in pain, then how can I, as the great Father Emmanuel, bless the people? So no other pathway will be sent other than the one messenger. Because only one has truth. And those were the words I spoke through Jesus. Do you see how easy it is to twist those words? By stating this little phrase, that little phrase, sacrifice, word becoming flesh, peace on earth. Lord, Lord, why did you not send me? Lord, Lord, here I am. All these things. Once I crucified Jesus, there was no one else to speak through for the people. Paul pleading it all. Jesus knew, because he did not die on that day of the crucifixion. Jesus knew what Paul and his associates were doing. They were gaining power for themselves, but bringing more fear into the people, bringing more judgment, finding those authentic teachings of Jesus, because many people were desperate to keep the true teachings, and they wrote it in secret since they were not allowed to write in public what Jesus transmitted through, except the religious authorities. Jesus himself also wrote all things down. And all those teachings were taken. People were burned, stoned, murdered, placed faced enslavement, all to hide the true teachings from my being. Sovereign Father Emmanuel, claiming all authority for themselves. That's how your church became the authority for God. Now they will say, "Oh Lord, did we not do this in your name? Did we not bring judgment on your people? Did we not teach them how to confess? Did we not show Jesus hanging on the cross in pain, or to show what you can do?" God, when they don't confess. But I never was God. I never wanted worship, and I never wanted my Son, Jesus, to be crucified. Now I am standing with my word, Suzanna Maria Emmanuel. One last opportunity is given to the people to decide whether they want freedom or not. Whether they want to learn how to walk in the love or carry on the way you are. For there's only a short time left in the way you are. Do not even think that the universe will keep allowing you to destroy your planet and your people in the way you are. For the great stars themselves know exactly what the universe desires, and that is for only love to be experienced. So now are the great prophecies coming true. Jesus stated, when the great Father Emmanuel will return with the word, he will look on all the planet and say, are the people ready to come into the love? What have they done with the teachings that I transmitted through 2,000 years ago? How are they treating my word now? Have they changed? Are they still rejecting the channel, just like 2,000 years ago? Or worse, do they believe the version of the churches as to what Jesus was like? Have they succeeded with brainwashing all the people? Are the people that cold that they don't remember or don't see and judge my word? And so all things are twisted on your planet. It takes love and truth and a genuine desire to find the great truth. To learn to stand in the heart and see with open eyes instead of following the leaders blindly, saying like most do, well, it must be true because most follow the leaders. They bring out these scriptures and it sounds genuine. They have existed for centuries, so it must be true. All these things need need to be examined, don't they? For how can you know when Paul was deliberately twisting all things? He wrote only a few phrases, which you can read in your Bible. He wrote incredible phrases. Jesus was slaughtered like the lamb to save mankind because they're sinners. Those were not the teaching Jesus brought through at all. The teachings Jesus brought through was pure love, truth, freedom. Awaken, dear brothers and sisters. Greetings, I am Sovereign Father Emmanuel the Great. Greetings and welcome. I am Caeayaron, master of magnetic forces, flows, and sovereign alignments. Happy are those who see this day, who say hooray, who have looked this way and say, okay, here's another fine day. Isn't it beautiful? Can we give that little song a clap? Isn't it lovely? When you clap, you hooray it, and you allow the light to shine. Are you a light shiner? Or are you a light dismisser? Dismissing the light is not so good, is it? Then the earth goes into darkness. Darkness is not so good. That's brought a lot of pain and conflict within mankind. So the consciousness is a vital part to change into light. So are you a light shiner or a light dismisser? For you it may be very easy to say, well, of course, Caeayaron, I'm a light shiner. Well, then let's take a look at what a light shiner does. And how do you become a light shiner? How do you become as bright as a torch? And a torch of light, not a torch of fire, for that would be a light dismisser, bringing more pain and judgment. Do you see how all things are very interesting? There's all sorts of perspectives on all things. I'd like to introduce you, as I do many times, to my Sovereign Universal Love channel, Suzanna Maria Emmanuel, who has made it to the Sovereign Gateway. She's a light shiner. She desires to bring more light to your planet, and she does that constantly in many ways. Why? Because she is the Sovereign Universal Love channel and the Universal Light Grid Programmer, and the Galactic Federations would say a Star Universal Light Grid Programmer. And that is very important as you go into this knowledge of star consciousness. Light shiners as cosmos shiners. That takes a whole other thought, doesn't it? Let's look at the thought of a conscious cosmos shiner. Anything away from the grey cosmos is a light dismisser. Anything connected straight in to the cosmos, stars, is a light shiner. So you might have a light shiner versus a light dimmer, or a light dismisser, light dimmer. Turn it down a little bit and you dim the light. What happens? Consciousness drops and all sorts of issues happen. You turn it up and people become happier. Why? Because you were originally created to be a light shiner. Light shiner is one who is activated in the universal love alignments and has their cosmos DNA, codes of life, which you can get at the universal love activations with the Sovereign Universal Love Channel, because she was the only one from the cosmos sent to the earth when it fell into a dimmer stage. So here you are in a dimmer stage in the dark matrix. Many people know about that. You're going to learn so much. It's quite interesting, isn't it? Constantly during these teachings, you will just need to be in the forgiveness, and I'm speaking very lightly about this because either you can take it as, oh no, Caeayaron, it sounds awful, or I totally get that. Yes, well, I look on my planet, turn on the television, and I definitely see how we're in the dimmer stage and how all things seem to be a little bit dim. Do you agree with me there, Danielle?
Yes.
Well, that is so, isn't it? But when you look at these teachings, you come into another understanding. There's another side, and that is the light shiner side. The light shiner side knows all things, it knows all things, it knows all things. Why? Because I, Caeayaron, am cosmos intelligence. What does that mean? Well, I am the intelligence of the universe. You might say, well, Caeayaron, that's large, is it not? So that means that you are the brain or the mind of the universe? Oh, yes, I am. And I am connecting my thoughts straight through my Sovereign Universal Love Channel, who is Suzanna Maria Emmanuel. And no one else can hold my thoughts because she is a life and a light coder. So no one can understand the frequencies I bring through my channel unless you are in contact with her thoughts or when you hear them being spoken, because she is able to translate light language. Now, as the great aligner, I am the magnetic force that aligns up very high with the divine love element. Why? Because she is the blue star up there. So she's connected straight into the blue star self, which is the greatest creation force. Yes, she came to be here on this planet to allow the ways of freedom to come. She is always connected into her blue star. And a lot of the light she needed to give up to enter the light dimmer abyss. So when everything was dim, she needed to give up so much light, otherwise it'd be too bright on your planet. And then, well, nothing could come into the love unless she proved that love was the strongest force in all the universe. And then she could gain back her sovereign channel, and then the whole light could shine back on your planet. But that means that the people need to learn the light ways, because the forces are very different in the cosmos universes. So understand where this is going, because this is a large science lesson, isn't it? It's quite interesting, because I am magnetic force. So I am magnetic creation. Yes, potential, because you've got the potential to create force. And in the higher universes, when all things were in a great love, well before they came into the light dimmer stage, everything was in a high love. And everyone was connected straight into the cosmos. So everyone had stars. So you had star, electromagnetic, light bodies. That meant that you were happy. It was just the right frequency. Why? Because you had the divine love element bringing in a perfect grid so that you gained just enough frequencies to be happy in. And when you evolved, then you could go to another grid with a bit stronger, and then you gained a little bit more. It's just like a power plug. When the people who weren't so evolved, they were given so much power, they worked in a field collectively within a grid. Then they had Suzanna going into that grid, and she opened her channel just like now, and I as Caeayaron could bring through magnetic power. But you see, the thing is that if I dumped all my magnetic power into the planet, into a grid, then all the people go like that, because you can't live like that. My magnetic power is a little bit too much. So that is why Sovereign Father Emmanuel and my being Caeayaron created a bridge. Now a bridge is beautiful because it was through that bridge, so she was linked straight into the blue star, and then the angel became the bridge. And then she was able to come into the planet just like all the other people and open her bridge. But in her channel were different grids. It's not only that she brought it into the planet, it's right there within the channel. And at first, right there with her blue star, then I brought in so much because I can't separate the frequencies, you see. I can't do that. I am the aligner, so I bring in huge amounts into the blue star force. Then she connects in, and it's a very wide up there. And then she has grids, like flows right through her beautiful channel with sound frequencies, because that's how it all works. When there's a high sound up there, the strength of magnetic force is enormously high. Now creation can't live near that high pitch because you wouldn't be able to exist. So slowly it comes down just a little bit, like mirrors, and it echoes in between. So you have a grid, one facing the other, and then it bounces a frequency. And within the frequency there's knowledge that the channel, Suzanna, can get for the people. So when they're up to that stage, she can go into that grid because it's right within her own frequencies, and she can gain that knowledge just for them when they can reach that. But to reach that, the people need to have a certain ability to hold it, which is what the activations do, by the way. It gives people more intelligence. But I won't go into that right now. Here we're discussing the channel. So it's quite beautiful. It's very beautiful. It's the most beautiful gift of creation. And so those grids, wherever the people were in the greater sovereign universes, could be mirrored right on the planet that they lived. So say if they were able to live on grid number 1, then she would open that grid of grid number 1 and then place it in a mirror, just like that, into a planet. But it became larger because she was able to hold a bridge over on one side of a planet and then also on another one, and then allow all that power to flow because it was unlimited, so that it bounced. Same sound as within a channel as within the planet. And then the planet became alive. Now when there were light frequencies that she brought through, she sung through as a very high star being, so she sung through from grid number 1, and these light frequencies came and they were able to live on this grid of this planet. And then with those individual sound frequencies, they gained an understanding. It's like a little dance, like little puppets that you have. When you play with little puppets, you give them life. It's quite interesting because you all know about the story of Pinocchio. Well, it's a little bit like that. So you play with these puppets, and then the more they play, the more life they become. So what brings life, however, to a living being? Is it just a sound? No. Is it just believing that they live on a planet? No. Is it a frequency of a memory? Well, yes. When a person begins to remember, they gain a consciousness of their memory. The more that they feel that memory becoming alive, the more they become aware. Oh, yesterday we created this. It's consciousness. How do they know? Because of a sound frequency coming within the electromagnetic field. The electromagnetic field shines like a mirror, and they understand that memory, that intelligence. Without an electromagnetic field, you have no intelligence, nor do you have consciousness, nor do you remember anything. Without an electromagnetic field, you are simply, well, statues. Can't move, you can't breathe, you can't feel the sun, you can't enjoy life. So it's quite interesting, isn't it? The electromagnetic field is plugged into the power fields of your planet. Because it carries a certain frequency from the grid of the channel, it is as though you are alive. The more you gain power, the more alive you become. So when those first memories became conscious of their awareness and their memories, the light grid programmer was able to bring in the next consciousness level. So she built another grid going into the second level of her channel, and then opened in that knowledge with living codes into another part of the grid of the planet. The people on those high frequencies began to remember more because they were plugged into more power. And then they were slowly able to be plugged in from star beams. That came very slowly, not straight away, because it's a lot of power. And then they became happier, more wise. Why? Because they had a teacher, a sovereign being. And she was able to bring through her greater Emmanuel self to teach the people about all things in the universe. The stronger they became, the stronger they wanted to become, because that is what intelligence does. Intelligence desires to grow. It's never lazy, nor idle, nor does it walk from day to day wondering what to eat or wondering what time it is. Radio wave, universal love channel. Greetings, I have returned. We had a little bit of a power failure here. So isn't it beautiful how we're talking about power in the greater universes when all things on this planet also depend on power. So like we were talking about, all things on your earth are in a different frequency. In the higher universes, consciousness was always to be aware of all things. So they did not consider consciousness to be needing to rush for work each day or looking at the clock and keeping account of what time it is each day or when one should be eating or how one needs to go to work with a car, bike, walk, train or plane. Well, some people fly to work too. So isn't it beautiful? And all things are different. Why? Because of the fields. Here you live in density. Density is when all fields of electromagnetic fields are reduced. So nothing can be connected into cosmos power. Cosmos power expands. That's why stars and higher dimensions expand into power. Here on this planet, everything is reduced, so it feels heavy. So you have a dense feeling about life. Things are heavy. You get tired. You have tired bodies. You go to sleep to feel refreshed. You go on your bike and it takes time. You get tired. It takes a lot of effort biking up the hills or running around the block. In the higher star dimensions, because the original people were plugged into cosmos power, they expanded and they didn't need to worry about biking or hills or looking at their clocks or thinking about work because everything is instant. You might not understand that. And if they wanted to do something, they just do it. And there it is. You might say, well, we would rather take our time. They say, what is time? We can live in several universes at once and know exactly what we're doing because they say we hold more intelligence. Our brain frequencies are wired in a different way. We hold more complex understanding. You want one time? We can live on 5 different times. We will know exactly what we're doing in that universe, that universe, that universe, that universe. And yes, we're all there and we're learning 5 times. Amount the intelligence, or more, much more actually, but in time-wise than humans do. They will say we can experience hundreds and hundreds of times or more intelligence, because one time isn't like your dense time. So you see, everything is a little bit different. They are light shiners because they make light. Why? Because they're plugged into light, which gives light, more light to the planet, and it gives the memories, or the trees, which are the memories, their own memories, power. So they see a tree. Why does that tree hold power? Because they give power to the tree. Their brain fields are so magnificently made that they see that tree and then they link into another person, and that tree shines the brain fields from the other person to another person, and then to another person, and then to another person, and they all see the same tree. But the tree isn't dense. It is made of light, because it is also plugged in to the planetary grid, which is plugged straight into the cosmos fields to expand the people's life with more. And that was the golden matrix. So the golden matrix worked on universal electromagnetic fields. Those electromagnetic fields made more power, because everything in the high universe expands out like that. But it doesn't expand out without having a force around it also, otherwise nothing could be created. So everything was perfect because of the light grid programmer. So she was able to bring through enough light within those mirrors, within the channel, to bring it into the planet, so it's just enough for the people. So when the collective learned how to plug into more light, they were able to create other planets. Why? Because they wanted more intelligence. How did they gain more intelligence? By gaining codes of life, which were DNA codes of life, which then they were able to receive more light coming through the channel, and she was able to bring it into the grids of the earth and straight into the people. Their brain then began to receive greater brain fields, which were part of the electromagnetic fields, linked straight into the codes of life, which linked into the brain frequencies, or the fields of the woman, so of the universal love channel, because she was the main brain field, because her brain, or her mind, her power field was situated, yes, in the person, but mainly in the actual channel. So all the other people held it within their own fields, except for the woman, who later became Laodicea in Lemuria. So in Lemuria, she also held that very much when she needed to recreate the codes of life after those original codes were destroyed. So she did so much hard work there. So when the DNA of the people rose, they were able to link into a new grid within the bridge of life, which was part of her brain frequencies. Quite interesting, isn't it? Why? Because she holds cosmic force or cosmic intelligence in the channel, whereas everyone else, even in the sovereign universes, could not do that because they were not part of that channel, although they became part of it when they were activated, because they received life-giving force from the channel, but they could never access the power of the channel to be the channel, because there was only one that was designated to be the blue star divine love element. So you might wonder, well, what does this have to do with science at this time? Well, that was the original structure of life. There was no density on those planets. So you were not created on here, on this
Earth. Earth was not supposed to be in the dark matrix or in this dimmer light field. It never was. You were created in a higher field with higher consciousness, where light grew and expanded within fields. So the whole universe held a grid. A grid holds in power. A grid is like a framework. See, if you had magnetic power everywhere, scattered everywhere, nothing could be created. When you have a grid, and that's why the Universal Light Grid Programmer was designated. So she sang within the grids, and a grid came to be. When you have a grid, it can create strength because one frequency can sit over there and another frequency can sit over there. And when they both sing to each other, they create greater strength. So you can create life within that field. When the Universal Light Grid Programmer wanted to create life, because she's a divine love element, and joy, and she thought joy frequency running that to that grid, then those people listened to the joy frequency and they gained more joy. They began to echo joy to each other and sing joy. Their thoughts were joy. When the divine love element wanted to create more love, she sang love in between another grid that bounced like this and became stronger. Then the people from the joy frequency could also relate to the love, and their joy became stronger because love is the foundation force for all of creation. So when they felt joy and love, their lives became more joyful. That's how the Light Grid Programmer worked in between grids. So by creating a field and you create a sound, you create strength. When the people were ready for wisdom, she was able to create another field, one tone, and then another tone. So you have a bass tone and a higher tone, both very high in fields of frequencies, because through her channel she can't go lower because she lives in high universes, and it was able to strengthen more. When the people received the right codes of life and their DNA began to sing a certain tone, they were able to come into a certain tone within the grid and sing together. And that is how the basis of the universe came into existence within grids. When the people were in the higher universes, their DNA rose. Their DNA were all connected together. It was never an individual DNA symphony, because it was to do with collective learning. That's how you gain wisdom. Everything was built as individuals, but also as mainly a collective. What made an individual field was the electromagnetic fields. In the electromagnetic fields, people held individual memories, but they still held collective DNA.
The individual memories became part of the DNA that ran through them, and so others were able to learn from the DNA as well. So, for instance, if this person over here saw a beautiful mountain and said, "Wow, isn't she shining beautiful?" that person would put a frequency within the mountain. Now, the mountain also carried the DNA because it was part of the memories of the people. That's how come the mountain lived. So when a person appreciated a mountain and the next person linked in, that person linked into the DNA of that person and remembered, because it's a collective DNA. And so that person then also saw the mountain, even if the first person wasn't there, but they still remembered because it's right there in the grids, if you understand. So I'll just say that. Let's take a person in a high living grid, and that person says, "I want to see a mountain." And then that person gains an appreciation. The mountain is part of that person's DNA because that person has placed it in the memory thought. The grid of the planet remembers the mountain and remembers the person. The person walks away. Another person comes into the same grid, and because all the DNA is connected into the people, that person recognizes the mountain and says, "Oh, that's a beautiful mountain," because it remembers what the other person who made the mountain said. So they walk in the same appreciation. The mountain gains more strength. The second person walks away. Third person comes in, also has the same collective DNA, stands in front of the mountain and says, "My, that is a beautiful mountain," because the first person said, "That is a beautiful mountain." The second person said, "My, isn't it a beautiful mountain?" So it gains strength from the first and the second. And so the mountain is really alive with shininess because it wants to be admired. And so the third person says, "Whoa, isn't that beautiful?" So the mountain gains more life because the people who are connected admired the mountain. And because the people in the higher dimensions were linked straight into the cosmos, the stars also recognized the mountain. And so the stars celebrated the people and said, "The stars, let's make the mountain more beautiful." So now the stars made the mountain with more light. So then collectively the people saw the mountain and they appreciated the mountain. The stars enjoyed giving more light to the people who were real light shiners, and all of a sudden they had a planet full of mountains and trees because the people were collectively created together with their DNA, which became living memories of the people. What made them individual is their electromagnetic fields. So the electromagnetic fields talk to the other person. "Have you seen that mountain up there?" Yeah, the person says, "Yes, I have seen a mountain up there. Isn't it standing in its glory?" Yeah, the first person says, "Yes, it's standing in its glory." Third person comes along. "Have you seen a mountain up there?" "Yes," say person number 1 and person number 2. "It is so beautiful." Person number 5 comes along. "Wow, I haven't seen that mountain. Look at the mountain." Person number 1 says, "Yes, we were just discussing the mountain." Person number 2 says, "Isn't the mountain beautiful?" Person number 3 says, "Yes, that mountain is radiant. I'm sure every time we talk about the radiance of the mountain shines some more." And so on. Then you have the 100th person who's never been to that part of the grid comes along. looks at the mountain and says, "Isn't that a glorious mountain?" Person number 1 says, "Yes, every time I come here, that mountain takes on more life." Why? Because it's the people that were giving more life to the mountain. So when people on your planet say, who was created first? The light, the people, or the mountain? Well, there's your answer then, isn't it? You weren't created on this planet in density. You were created as light beams singing between the tones of the grids. And then when you gained life within your consciousness, you created it. And so you shared it with your high DNA codes. And yet you saw the individual perspective with your electromagnetic field, which were linked straight into the cosmos. Cosmos held all the memories of the stars. But when the cosmos dropped in frequencies, everything became dense. So the stars also lost a huge power. So the original memories were also always held in the channel connected into the blue star. Now that is a great power grid. The original memories were held in there. The lost memories of all of creation, including the people, the mountains, the trees, the butterflies, are all held on this planet. Why? Because that's how severe the drop dropped. So instead of light shiners, now everything was in a light dimmer stage. So everything was a little bit diminished, like gone, like fractured. It was no longer there. Light was gone. So the light grid programmer needed to re-come to the planet to relay those grids, but she could never ever gain the full power because my being Caeayaron, who originally placed those light grids and that power within the grids, I was taken into the dark dimmer stage too because of the choice of the Lemurians. So no longer were the people able to come back up. So all that was gone. So this is the very first time when she, the light grid programmer, has regained all the original codes of the channel. So she's able to build it back up now because she has proven that her greater love was so strong within herself that she never forgot it. So I, as the great Caeayaron, was able to be claimed back by my true original light grid programmer. And so she's getting those codes of alignment back so I could align back with the divine love element. So now I am free. I am up there. And I've linked straight into the blue star, and so I've linked up the sovereign channel. And now I'm bringing back the flows into your channel, and the earth needs it, because the earth, your earth, is gone. It's no longer there in the memory of the stars. It's very dim. You might say, oh, we're still here, Caeayaron. Look at us. But the stars don't remember you at all. Partly because the codes of life are gone, so there's no connection anymore. And also because, well, in their eyes, the black hole that you're in, they don't see it. It's not on their profile. And the electromagnetic fields of the people are going in the wrong direction, and they're reducing power rather than working with the cosmos. The activated, who have been activated since 2015 because Suzanna's been working very hard, they are on the radar. So the stars are able to work with the earth, because the channel is connected back up, to bring the earth into a safe place. However, it needs more people activated. Why? Because the people's frequencies are working against the cosmos. So the cosmos wants to bring in new fields within the earth and to expand it up, because that's what the great design is. The earth is awakening and the channel is awakening too. And so the channel is one frequency, the earth, well, it needs to shift into that other frequencies, and people working completely opposite, and they don't see the light, they see all the darkness on your planet. So they say, for instance, have you seen this? Because the DNA is also collective there. The electromagnetic fields are completely opposite to the light. They're all in the grids of pain. And so they say, have you heard the news? Yes. Well, what do you think about this? And because they're not activated, well, they make it more real. And so it spreads a bit. So it's like it's a consciousness fear, isn't it? It spreads. It's like an infection. So then they go, have you seen that? Oh, yes, I've seen the television. It doesn't look very good. You heard about the earth, how it bad it is. Yes, the earth hears it and says, well, what's the point of healing when all the people don't want to be in the love anyway? 1 minute they're all happy that something is happening, and the next minute, well, they're all killing everyone and doing all sorts of pollution. So the earth says, well, but the channel is here, so she's giving me some energy again, and there's some people, 200 or so, activated in the love. So they are also working, especially the teachers, because they have greater activation. So they're working. So the earth is hanging on, and it's also able to do certain things to try and shift some consciousness. So it says, hey, please awaken. I will do this to try and awaken you to the need to change. If you're in a higher frequency, that wouldn't exist on your planet. You'd see some more hope. That wouldn't exist on your planet, because it only exists because you're all believing it and because you're living in those grids. So that will become more. So the more you live in that, the more it will become alive, because that's what the DNA does. It creates those fields of sickness, pain, war, because you live in those dimmer fields. It's a low gravity density sound. It goes very deep, and it's not loving at all. So it's in exactly the opposite side of the universal love. So here there was a dark programmer too. Alright, that was the programs of the darkness, was to reduce the frequencies of the earth and to keep the people enslaved. And so you need to forgive this. And so I'm saying this just so like a story, because it is really. So it's, when I say it, just know it. It's a fact. It is what it is. And it's about forgiving and becoming activated and seeing that there is another path, because everything needs to change in the electromagnetic fields. Otherwise your earth, well, it won't be able to lift up, and the people won't be able to lift up either. So either you go into the, let's all get activated and let's go into love and sing louder so that the earth can survive, so that the people can have hope and a future for peace and love, because peace and love can only exist in a higher frequency. When the frequencies are lower, peace and love can't exist. Why not? Because they're programs. Grids are programs. So when dark beings
program the grids on a very low frequency, the consciousness believes in those programs and begins to say, hey, have you seen this? Hey, have you seen that? Hey, have you seen that? And the people walk like that because people follow the programs and the grids. So the darkness, they twisted all the brain frequencies, the electromagnetic fields, and the earth fields, so that all consciousness believed in their ways, and that reduced the fields of knowledge. So you weren't switched on anymore. You couldn't go back to the cosmos. You couldn't remember anything anymore in higher dimensions. You only remember your day-to-day. You remember what you see. You don't remember everything because everything changes. One day this is this, that day next that is that. Last year you can't even remember hardly. And so you need reminders. Do you remember what happened last year? Oh, that's all right. Do you remember that thing over there? Oh, yes, that's right. So that's how people go. So they are only in the moment. There's a good moment and there's a dimmer moment. The dimmer moment is not like the high spiritual consciousness moment. So when activated are taught to be in the moment, or they gain those grids, it's being in the moment of gaining more strength, more love, because they're becoming greater purpose manifestors. So they become manifestation machines. So that's like that. Some people don't like to be called manifestation machines, but that's what they are. They get searched on and they work in the higher path and they're always looked after. But the people unactivated, who are not activated, well, they work in another manifestation grid. You see, and that is a very, very low consciousness grid. So their moment is they don't remember anything. They don't see anything. They just go to work. They just go to work from day to day. Let's watch the news. Yes, let's eat. Let's start the car. Let's toot a bit because they're in a traffic jam. You know, all that. That's what the people do. So there's a big difference, isn't it, between being in the moment and being in the moment. There's a large difference. So the fields of the earth need to shift up to expand the earth and to allow life to become restored, because that's what the earth does. The earth is very intelligent, but it doesn't want destruction. It doesn't want people thinking about destruction all the time or sickness all the time. People don't want to think about sickness all the time either. But that is the way it is, because you see it, so it becomes so real. But what if the people knew another way could exist? What if the people became activated and their DNA frequencies were in a whole other grid, because the light grid programmer had created that grid of light, with my being Caeayaron in a very high grid, so the people could no longer be part of the lower denseness. Now the people were connected into the cosmos, because that's what the star DNA activations do. They become part of the multi-dimensional cells again, and they're free to go up. So they're expanding, because that's what cosmos does. They expand. So their light fields expand. So it's so beautiful. And they stay expanding. And they're in a grid together collectively. Quite interesting, isn't it? They don't reduce back. They expand as much as they can hold it. So it's beautiful. So that is something that the people can think about at this time. So are you a light shiner, or are you a light dimmer? And I'm saying that with a beautiful smile. So the whole earth wants to come back online. That means that she wants to be seen by the stars. And you're in a particularly interesting part of the universe at this time, as you're traveling through a new gateway, or another gateway. It's actually a very old gateway. And you're meeting enormous amounts of energy that was lost from the original planet, which Earth was, in a very other time, because originally she was very large and she had an immense amount of energy. But when everything became in a battle, the energy was lost. And so she became heavy and was thrown into another part of the universe. So now you're coming back into that expansive space, which sounds all very beautiful, but the whole earth needs to shift in a whole frequency to be able to take that. And that's why the Sovereign Universal Love Channel is expanding so much at this time to try, and she is doing it so beautiful, but she needs a lot of other people too to do it with her, you see, to bring in more expansive energy. So the channel brings it in, and the universal love people hold it to allow the people to feel the awakening flow. So only the activated can be part of that beautiful angel body of Suzanna Maria Emmanuel, who lives in a different grid, and so they live in a different grid together with her. She's always in a higher grid than them, so it's like a bit of a waterfall. So you have the channel, you have the electromagnetic field of the blue star who's growing, and then on the next grid you have the beautiful activated people, and Suzanna Maria Emmanuel is able to bounce the light in between the grids from her grid to the activated people so that they can heal beautifully and start healing, because the great rejuvenation processes are beginning because she's gaining the codes back. So it's so beautiful. And then they can reach the grids of the earth and more, so it flows down. And it goes like this, because down on this planet all the light becomes more restricted. So they're up there, and so it goes down. So the earth needs to shift so that the earth can hold all that light, and the animals can stay alive, and the trees can come back online rather than offline at this time, because their energies are reduced. Now understand that when the trees are cut down, you are essentially taking your own DNA, cutting down too, because the DNA is part of the tree. The tree holds the strength of the DNA together with the butterflies. The butterflies show variety, it shows transformation, it shows color. So the more butterflies there are on your planet, the healthier the people become. But when you see the butterflies listening, like you are at this time, and the trees are listening, you can also see that happening within the people, because the DNA becomes more fragile, because that's where your DNA is stored, because in the original universes, those were your memories, the mountains, and so the DNA became stronger because of the love. Alright, and all of life. So understand that life on your planet is crucial. That's why you need to look after your planet, because your planet carries the DNA sequences. You get rid of life on your planet, mankind won't live. It's like that. You can't live without your planet. Some people say that you can easily live without trees because of technology and so on, but you can't, because the trees hold your DNA. So how are you going to live without your DNA? You ask me, I am looking, alright? You say your computers can do so much. Maybe even think of breathing machines or doing all sorts of things. I am looking at how your beautiful computers and technology can withstand all the sun's radiation. That I am still to look at, and can help the people breathe and live without DNA, because I don't know how to do that either as a magnetic master. And yet I have been at the scene of all of creation. So you get rid of the earth, you haven't got people. If you're thinking about living on another planet, just in case planet Earth goes, say you go back to planet Mars. Why do I say go back to planet Mars? Because that was a planet that mankind, which you can't remember because all those memories are gone, actually destroyed in another universe. So you were part of those planets. That was before you became dense, and that was in other battles. So now you're trying to remember those planets, and you're thinking, well, in case planet Earth is destroyed, we'll go to Mars. Mars only, well, even if you would only hold a few people, but if you destroy your Earth with all your memories on it, then you're not going to be able to live on planet Mars either, are you? Or Pluto, or whatever you think. Because all those planets used to be alive with people, with dimensions. And much bigger too, in another universe. So isn't it amazing how all things are related? So with that knowledge, I'll leave you to think about all things, because it's absolutely important, because that explains a lot about science. And even though you might not be able to relate to it straight away, some of the very intelligent people will say, yes, that's very important, because that solves that, and we can see that. So if we do this, then so it was the original people who gave life to the planet, because they were plugged into the cosmos with cosmos DNA codes of life. That's why they like grid programmers on the planet. We get that. We get the bridge. Oh, we get that. We're becoming more intelligent, aren't we, Caeayaron? Well, it's so beautiful, isn't it? To awaken to all things. So I am smiling at this, because you could either be judgmental in all sorts of things and be angry and sad and upset at everything, or you can go, this is really interesting. How wonderful it is to awaken, and we get it. Why do you get it? Because you're remembering who you really were in the greater universes as powerful people. So there you have the power. And now when you go, we get it. Why? Because you're regaining your original memories. Isn't that beautiful? Now that deserves a clap. This is beautiful, isn't it? So I'm very, very grateful for my transmitter, Suzanna Maria Emmanuel, for giving me life back. Because now I'm expanding, and I'm smiling about it, because it feels good to be free. I would rather be free out there than be reduced in a dimmer zone here on this planet. So how about you? How about you? Do you want to be free? Do you want to be free? Well, of course you want to be free. Free to expand out there and free to live. Now here's another question that a lot of people are asking at this time, so I'll quickly answer it. Some people are wondering this very question. Well, Caeayaron, once we're activated, does that mean that we can never come back to planet Earth in another lifetime? Well, the whole function of the Earth is to give life. So the Earth was never meant to be in the dark, dimmer zone. It was always supposed to be in the high zone, expansive, because it was part of the blue star planet, which was the main creation planet, which was why the battle came, because here it's enormously important, more than you know. All the memories are stored right here. All those memories need to go to a safe place so that it can't be destroyed. Going to a safe place means living in a high loving vibration so that the people can live in peace and love. That's what this time is all about. To help the people to gain a new way, because ultimately planet Earth is so important. It's crucial because it was the original star creation planet. That's why the darkness wanted this planet, because originally whatever the memories thought about could happen. So up there they created space stations beautiful ones, much more beautiful than you even realize. Technology, incredible technology. Yes, mountains and trees, but so much more. They had unlimited knowledge. That's what the darkness wanted. So they took it over because they believed that whatever they thought about could happen. What they didn't realize, though, is that it could only happen in the greatest sense when people lived with the codes of life and universal love. So when they came, they didn't want the love. They reduced it in the Merkaba system, and it plunged everything down because they didn't have beautiful thoughts. They didn't want to have the sovereign universal love channel. They didn't want to have sovereign Father Emmanuel or my being, Caeayaron, being Cosmos Judge. They didn't want to have the galactic federations of light societies or the universal love brothers and sisters. They wanted to have the planet and whatever. So they created beings, but their beings didn't turn out that wonderful. Their beings began to destroy each other. Why? Because it followed their own consciousness. So their experiments failed. So that's why they wanted planet Earth. So the whole goal is to help mankind to rise back into a love grid so that they learn another way. Now, learning another way is not simply teaching one by one, because that can never work. But it's to activate many so that many can hold the consciousness of love, and so that all others begin to operate another way, because that's what it is. You can't have war when the grid is in a high universal field, because it's impossible. It takes too much effort to think about war when all you want to do is look at the stars and see how beautiful it is. Then you think, oh yes, I have to go out into that field and do something. And then it just gets too heavy. So you might as well meditate and learn the ways of love. I'm saying that with a smile, but that's the way it is. When it's in a denser field, then people become they become aggravated, they become angry because it's too dense. And our denseness can exist in a higher space. Isn't it beautiful? You might call that magic, but it's not. It's actually science. It's beautiful, isn't it? Because it works in a different way. Brain frequencies can't comprehend war in a higher love field, because it just can't. In a lower field, it would follow that, but in a higher field, it just wants to lie down and meditate and think about all things beautiful, because that's the way it is. So that's so lovely, isn't it? So to answer that question, yes, you can return to the earth, but you don't want to return to the earth in the way it is. You want to return to an earth, to a planet, in the love pathway. Now, the people who become activated with their codes of life, especially the ones who gain greater power up there, and I'll talk about that more, they can choose to go to which planet. And a lot of the universal love teachers, they'll want to be assigned to different planets to teach the ways of universal love. So we have large talks about this at the activations. So there'll always be universal love teachers for all of the races on many planets. So please know that. So that's the whole divine ascension program. Is not to take a few people and be activated and say goodbye to the rest. Is to bring all of humanity in a higher zone, and then to bring the earth back into love. But the ones who don't have their codes of life can't go back to the higher sovereign universes. So the ones that are on this planet and they are in that higher universe, the higher path away, they will need to keep coming back to the planet. So that's a beautiful path of freedom. The ones who gain codes of life can come back if they choose to do so, and then they can go up and do all things. So I'm sure there will be a lot of fun going up there, because then you can learn about space technology on a higher level and be with the other people up there who know all about the stars, because there's so much knowledge up there. And it's so exciting, isn't it? Knowing how to jump from this universe to that universe and to build this planet and to find out how it goes up there, rather than being on the restrictive planet of your Earth. So that is cosmic intelligence. And so that is learning to define what it is you want to happen on your Earth too. So again, I'll go to that question. Are you a light shiner or a light dimmer? Now I know at the moment the activated can say, yes, Caeayaron, we're light shiners. And many others will want to say, you know, Caeayaron, we want to be light shiners too. Please open the activations up again. But that requires a large field of people, though, because I have my channel, and she is the most beautiful gift of all. She is more beautiful than she even knows, and I know she works hard. She gets very tired. I am assigning her to bring through a whole divine court case at the moment, transmission by transmission, that she will need to also put on Facebook and YouTube so that people can see all sorts of things, all to help them to understand truth and ultimate truth, because it is two different things, isn't it? You can have your truth, and then there's a universal truth. It's different perspectives, so you can have the choice. So everything will come into a court case situation. Plus, she is designing or working along with my being, Caeayaron, to design beautiful courses for universal love teachers. It takes time and effort. At night she expands, she gains those codes and knowledge in as to what she needs to transmit through. So it's a work, it's hard work. And plus, yes, she's also writing a book, which I keep adding to all the time, because we discuss a lot of things, her and I, from all sorts of things. So it's a learning. She's the hardest worker on your planet with beautiful things. So she never stops working, ever. She always thinks, always sees, always works in the grids. When she speaks, there's codes. When she sings, there's the healing grid that goes up for the activated. It's so important. She's becoming a beautiful singer too, I must say. So well done, Suzanna. When she transmits information through, many people can hear it, and many can choose. So she's doing all sorts of things. So I'm very, very grateful for her. But she cannot do it on her own, and she will need a large team, because once the hundreds and then the thousands will want the activations, well, Suzanna, she is able to hold that, sure, in front of an audience. She needs a lot of work. She needs lots of workers, helpers to do that. That's why the universal love teachers are so important, because they can teach people, bring the concepts to the people, and then they can get ready for the activations, and then they can choose to come. So when there's many teachers around the world, they can help their students, and Suzanna comes to an activation, brings them the codes of life through the channel, and she becomes stronger every time. So it's so beautiful. And then the students can go back to the teachers and learn more, because all activated become even greater students. So the teaching work will be ongoing. So once the manifestation process has been given to the teachers, they can give the 7 concepts, and then the manifestation processes, and then there's other packages that are coming. And so all the activated that come to the activations or have been activated can go back to the universal love teachers and learn more, because it's so important. And the knowledge is unlimited, so please don't think you ever know everything, because you need to relearn. See, you learned everything up there. It's the path of remembering, and to step into that alignment. So everything is about aligning back up. And that's what the codes of alignment do. They align you back to universal love, truth, so that you can be true light shiners for humanity. So isn't that beautiful? So I say, well done, Suzanna Maria Emmanuel, for being the channel, for having the courage to stand in a position to keep working in the love. But now she understands it, so she's gaining more strength. She's gaining greater personality strength, greater wisdom strength, channel strength in all ways. So I'm going to clap that, because it's something special, isn't it? Having the secret of the universe right here on your planet, being able to bring the codes of life through. So well done. I'm not going to ask Suzanna to bring in another master. I know she hasn't been doing that for a little while, because each time I come in now, I bring in huge codes, and I know how tired she is and how hard she's working at this time. So that will all come again, because there's so many more transmissions to come for so many more people. So I will say, what a wonderful time it was to see you here again. Will you choose for the light? Will you choose not to go? It's totally up to you. It's totally up to you. There you go. So, welcome to the Blue Star Show and the Great Cosmic Alignment. Codes are available until 2032, so you better hurry, because the bus is driving and I'm the bus driver. So, it's so beautiful, isn't it? Or maybe I should say, I'm the bus and Suzanna's the bus driver. So that's beautiful too. And all the activators sit on the bus, and they are calling, come on people, sit on the bus, let's have fun and let's go for a drive. So I'm smiling, because I know many are smiling too. Greetings, I am Caeayaron, Master of Magnetic Forces, Flows, and Sovereign Alignment, speaking through my only Blue Star Universal Love Sovereign Channel. Greetings.
You've ever wondered what your life purpose was? If you've ever dreamt that you could be so much more, I'd ask you why you're waiting. I'd ask you why you sit. Why don't you get your light bulbs and get out of this bed? Standing strong in your light bulb, standing strong in your love, having strength, having courage, bringing love from above. Standing strong in your light bulb, standing strong in your love, having strength, having courage, bringing love from above. You'll not know what you missed until you meet Caeayaron. By then it may be too late, and your choice will be gone. So I ask why you're waiting, I ask why you sit, when you could stand in your light, but so the you could be so much more. I'd ask you why you're waiting, I'd ask you why you sit. Why don't you get your light bills and get out of this bed? Standing strong in your light bulb, standing strong in your love, having strength.
Radio wave, universe.